Ja, herzlich willkommen zu einer neuen Ausgabe SI Talk. Sie sehen schon, Interview bei mir, gern gesehener Gast, Howard J. Verrico. Er ist der CEO und Chairman von Sirona BioChem. Und es ist jetzt schon über ein Jahr aus, stimmt nicht ganz, ziemlich genau ein Jahr aus, dass ich mit ihm ein Interview gehabt habe. Und nachdem es derzeit nicht möglich ist, dass ich nach Vancouver fliege, was ich normalerweise um die Zeit tun würde, haben wir beschlossen, dass wir eine Videokonferenz machen. Konflikt of Interest habe ich natürlich auch. Ich bin Aktionär, großer Aktionär, ist nach wie vor meine größte Position, obwohl meine Goldwerte massiv zugelegt haben und auch die anderen Werte massiv zugelegt haben, ist sie nach wie vor meine größte Position. Habe extra das heute nochmal gecheckt und ja, deswegen besteht ein Conflict of Interest. Howard, thank you for your time, and this is nearly 1 year ago that we do our last interview. Last time it was in October, 1st of October it was published, so it must be on this time last year. And in the meantime I do an interview with the CSO from your company, Geraldine, and it was a great interview with her. And in this last year it's a lot of things have happened. First is coronavirus. That's the reason why I'm not coming to Vancouver, and I hope everything are well. Everybody is well on your side, and the coronavirus has not too much impact on your company, and especially not on the business itself. The last few days when I heard about a few things about France, the numbers are going up dramatically, coronavirus. Do you hear anything from Geraldine? Is everything fine on their end?
Yeah, so it's certainly been, I didn't realize it's been almost a year since we've talked. Time has gone on. So a lot certainly has happened in that time frame. It's a pity we can't see you here in Vancouver, but we've adapted very quickly to the pandemic. We've always had a significant percentage of our operation as being virtual. We operate on 3 continents, and we can't always be on site at all times. So we were able to adapt very quickly to the pandemic. We have a network of consultants in multiple countries that are either active or available at a moment's notice. Our lab has continued on its operations. We've actually been hiring new staff as we planned. Some of the pandemic has actually improved some of our efficiencies. Like right now, we're able to talk with you at a convenient time without any travel required. And people have adapted that very well, and people are very happy to conduct their business now virtually and through Zoom calls or Skype calls. We use all the various methods of communication, and we've been quite pleased with how things have worked out.
Perfect. You said a lot of things happened, one. Coming back to the coronavirus, you're coming up in end of March. You published the news that you're working on some antiviral program against COVID. What is the status here?
So that's a good question you ask. So we've actually made some. The lab is constantly involved in all the projects, but to different degrees and different priorities. And a major breakthrough has occurred in our anti-wrinkle and anti-aging programs. We've developed some new compounds that showing tremendous potential that have some improved properties. So the antiviral program is progressing, but we have used some of our resources to move forward the anti-aging, anti-wrinkle program, because we also need to be cognizant of the fact that any new developments have to get patented and protected. Any developments we make must be protected by IP to maintain the commercial value. So sometimes our priorities have shifted. So the lab is very active and is building up on the platform.
So that's mean. So if I understand you right, the COVID-19 program, antiviral program, is also connected to the anti-aging or anti-wrinkle program?
No, there's separate programs.
Separate programs. So
We have limited resources. I mean, we have a team in France, and they can only work on so much at once. And being a platform technology, we have to choose where the priorities lie. A priority came up with the Anti-Aging, Anti-Wrinkle Programm because of new scientific discoveries that we've made. Having said that, we want to increase our capacity, and that's why we're actively increasing our staffing at the lab so that we can tackle more projects.
You say the anti-aging program, you see a lot of progress in there. When we can see any news on it?
Well, the problem is when you make a scientific breakthrough, you've got to secure your IP. In securing your IP, there's a certain confidentiality that must be in place. If you publicly disclose all your discoveries, then you are not able to secure the IP. So, we will at the soonest possible date inform shareholders of what we've accomplished for sure. We're very excited. Unfortunately, some of that excitement, we can't give you all the details, but Geraldine and her scientists are continuing to innovate, and they're continuing to build upon the platform.
No, that was one.
Did not slow down during the pandemic.
That was when they have the interview with Geraldine. That was very interesting that you work really heavily on this anti-aging and anti-wrinkle. Or it looks like that you have really great progress on this. And I think anti-aging and anti-wrinkle market is a much bigger market than the skin lighter. For my feeling, I don't know, but I think then skin lighter is not really well known in Europe, but anti-wrinkle, yes.
Well, we determined the term skin lightening may be somewhat inappropriate right now because we've turned out that our compound is forte and where it excels is in actually dark spot removal. So that's where our clinical studies have been focused on, and that's where the interest rises. So European, as people age, they tend to get dark spots on their skin and uneven skin tone. And what our compound will do is to basically that's called dyschromia, and it's to treat dyschromia, to remove dark spots and even skin tone and give it that more useful look. And that's where the market lies, and that's a massive market in Europe.
That's right.
And it's a difficult market. It's a difficult market to find a compound that is both safe and effective.
Yeah.
And we believe we do that.
Oh, okay, when we are on the skin lighter market on the 1067, that is the first question come to my mind. When we can expect the first product on the market?
Well, okay, so Rodan, our license agreement with Rodan and Field is very active. They set out with incorporate our compound in their product line. They formulated a schedule. There's been no delays in their schedule, no setbacks from COVID. They've done testing and they say that the product works extremely well, that's using their own words. And the problem is that their launches are big events for their company. They need to be in control of the news release of timing the launches, what the product line is going to look at. Under our contractual agreements, we are not allowed to be the ones to make that release. So all I can tell you, unfortunately, is that the product launch is on schedule. There's been no delays, and that we have no reason to believe that it's not going to happen. They're very actively preparing for the launch.
When I look then to your last press releases, that you're coming up with a production or a new production deal with a Chinese group. I forgot the name. The Wuxi or something, or I don't know, I cannot pronounce it. Is this what is it?
Yeah, I don't know if I pronounce it correctly.
Okay, but is this a clear sign that you need now bigger production scale on it on the 1067, so that you can reach the goal also then from Rodan and Fields?
Yes. Companies like Rodan and Fields and all these cosmetic companies, first of all, I'd like to see you having at least 2 production sites. so that you can promise delivery of compound. You also establishing the whole process of getting Waxy up to speed took a number of months of them refining the process to fit their manufacturing facilities, get the optimal production at the lowest possible cost, and maintaining purity and confirming that the purity is there, that their production technique hasn't produced any impurities that could be any harmful. So again, when you go to, it's just another check mark. So you go to a cosmetic company and say, look at what we have. We actually have established production. We have established inventory. There's no delays. If I go to a company and say, well, we've got this exciting skin light, and they say, well, send me a kilogram, and they say, well, we have to now go produce that. I'll get back to you in a few months. We don't do that anymore. We've got an established product, clinically tested and available, manufacturing established. These are all the things that they want to hear from us and that we are now delivering on. Waxy Uptech is a massive manufacturer who's well established with all the big players, all the big industry players, and they know that companies. So now, so currently at this moment in time, we have manufacturing of 1067 occurring at Waxy Uptech in China and at Rouen in France simultaneously.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So that is some plant down for whatever reason, for example COVID or something, then you have the other facility where you can produce the stuff for your client.
No, it's industry standard.
Okay.
It's standard, because if some facility has a problem with production, then you say, well, you can't, when you launch a product line, you can't just, you have a shortage of the product. Rodan and Fields launch a product, their customers order it, they deliver. Mm-hmm. They want to know that they don't want to find out that there's some kind of problem in one of the facilities. Mm-hmm. And also, you're also working on multinational deals. Having a production in Asia and having a production in Europe is a totally logical sense.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Coming back to the 1067, in last October, I think, you signed a deal with Tinyi Trading for Asia.
Yes.
How the actual or current status in this?
Well, the first thing we did was we talked with them, and then they said, okay, give us some compound, and we said, well, we don't actually have it. So they said, we needed to establish this supply. It's another reason why we've done what we've done with the manufacturing. You can't, you go to a distributor and they say, okay, we've tested your compound, we like what we see, but then we say, well, okay, well, give us some time to produce it. You need to establish the manufacturing, and that's what we're doing. And then we've also got to determine, how do you best position our compound into that marketplace? How do you present it? And we're basically focusing on this chromia, dark spot removal, in skin tone, because that's where our compound forte is. And so what we're doing right now too is we're also just having a regulatory review to make sure that we are complying with all the local rules and regulations, and that everything's lined up. So Tinyi Trading Company is basically they're in ready to enable, and we're just catching up to speed.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So that's mean this last press release was very important also for this kind of agreement, that you can really set up and can deliver them product and then from them you can go forward.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, that was on Skin Ladder, but then coming back to the second Chinese cooperation, what you have with the diabetics product with Wanbang. So how Wanbang is going forward?
Oh wow, things are going very well. Unfortunately, there was the pandemic did hit China, and that there were delays in the clinical trials. But China recovered quickly, and the clinical trials resumed. So that project is moving forward. We are regularly in touch with the Wanbang team. They're fully dedicated to the program. There's no issues except for the short-term delay that I just mentioned, and they're proceeding with it. They're in a very competitive market. So, like Rodan and Fields, they don't want us telling us, announcing to the world where they are in their clinical trials. That to them is in their domain. When to release that kind of news. But tell you that they are progressing.
But one important thing for you, when they reach some milestones, then you get payments out of it, and this is important for you too.
It's very important. This was a $9.5 million milestone payments. They paid $1.5 million to date, but there's $8 million more pending, and we believe they're going to hit those milestones. We have no reason to suspect they won't. And then following that, there's ongoing royalty stream. So this is non-dilutive funding that is what we as a company and the shareholder most appreciate.
Yeah, absolutely. I like it. Non-dilutive is really great. In March, you're coming up with the LOE of Beijing Huaxi Pharma. So what is their current status? But and others and you say that you do a final agreement in the second quarter. Now we are in the third quarter, but I don't see it so far.
So there is definitely a delay there, and that delay is not pandemic related. Beijing Huaxi Pharma has had some changes in their growth plans. We're doing extensive due diligence to figure out how their plans are going to coincide with Sirona. We want to make sure we take the time and make the right decision to get the optimal result in a partnership. And while this is happening, we're actually exploring a few other exciting opportunities that have come forward. We're doing extensive due diligence. I have consultants on the ground in China that I trust and have known for many years, and they are actively working with us. So things in China are very active, and as soon as we make some progress there, we will put out news. But the lack of any update does not mean there's a lack of activity.
But what they should do for you, or how the agreements looks like, it's only you're working on some stuff, but what they really should do for you.
Well, the thing is, when you're operating in another country with its own set of rules, regulations, and you get a much better penetration. You can work with a company that's familiar with that, and also we'll take on some of the costs and the responsibilities, so that we're building a pipeline. We want to keep building that pipeline. We want to hand projects over that other people are more expertise in taking into the final stages do that job. And that's what these partnerships the goal is. To get that actual presence in the countries that we want to do business. Let them manage all the challenges, and then we share in the benefits, but we don't. We avoid a lot of the costs and the challenges.
Okay, understandable. Okay, anti-aging, anti-wrinkle we do. I remember it a few years ago, but never read a press release about animal health product. How the things going on this side?
Well, that is progressing very well. It's very much active. There's been a lot of work done on this project. There's been a lot of science been performed. We're hoping that we anticipate very positive new flow to come of this work. Unfortunately, we need a definitive agreement drafted up, and sometimes the legal departments are slower than the scientific departments, and that can be frustrating for all parties because we see so much positive action happening, and we can't release anything until we actually have that definitive agreement. But that is very much alive, very much active. We anticipate news. We anticipate this resulting in further non-dilutive funding and a great opportunity for Sirona.
Animal health product is a really broad area. From which health product we talk? So we talk. What can this be? What?
Well, we've already disclosed this in the previous news. I mean, this is the treatment of diabetes in domesticated animals.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Japan.
Okay. With Geraldine, with the interview with her in April, it was a very interesting interview, and she told me a lot of very interesting new developments. Is there any groundbreaking news what we're coming up from this side, or do you working on other things? What's happening?
Well, the anti-aging, anti-wrinkle there's been breakthroughs there for sure, and which we're very excited about. They're constantly improving chemistry and creating new compounds and compounds which they believed before would be very productive, but they weren't able to synthesize them because the technology evolves. So this is an evolving technology. The platform, the science behind the platform is constantly growing. As we, as our team in France are experts in. And so we anticipate this pipeline has got enormous growth potential, and that's why we want to expand the lab so we can accelerate that growth.
Okay, lab expansion costs money. What is the actual financial situation of the company?
Oh, well, we're well funded to execute our objectives. We have no near-term financing plan. And we're optimistic that our non-dilutive financings that we anticipate will continue us forward.
Okay.
And this, as a shareholder, I don't want any more dilutive financing any more than other shareholders.
Okay. And this non-dilutive financing is like the One Bank deal, for example.
One Bank deal, other licensing deals, funding from government to support some of our research. Yeah, there's a number of sources. We maximize those.
Okay.
Be careful. Using your financial resources wisely.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. And I saw in the last financial statements, I think you have end of April 2.8 million Canadian dollars in the bank. So that should takes you a few quarter for sure.
Oh yeah, we're solid.
There's one question always what I get a lot of comments in the last few months, and some of them ask me why you working only part-time for the company.
Okay. Well,
so
I get that question. I'm an emergency room physician. I work about 3 shifts a week. My shifts vary from 6 to 8 hours in duration. I'm an insomniac. I work all hours of the day and night. I'm frequently talking to Europe or to China, and around the clock, middle of the night, all kinds of hours. I mean, if I work 6 hours in emergency, then I got 18 hours left in the day, and I'm not going to sleep for 18 hours. I've known this company intimately. Idiosyncrasies. And also, you have to operate efficiently. You have to have a strong team. You got a strong team that's competent and able to execute. Then I make executive decisions. I don't have to do the full implementation of all the decisions. I got a brilliant scientific team. I got excellent consultants. I got a great team here on the ground here in Vancouver. We're working out fine. I have in the past tried to hire other CEOs to take on the job, and it hasn't been successful. Having said that, if the company grows to a stage where someone can do the job better than myself, I would happily allow them to do so, because ultimately I want the company to be successful.
Mm-hmm. How big is your share position, you and your family in the company?
Oh.
Do you have any idea? What is
I
rough?
can't remember. That's a good question. I know my friends and families are master shareholders.
Okay.
Like I got all my families in on it. People I work with in the emergency, they're shareholders. I got, we have a massive position, and then I'm surprised. Someone will say, "Oh, I just took a big position in your company." I said, "Well, that's interesting." I mean, it's unsolicited. It's
coming to my last question. what we can expect in the next 6 months when we summarize everything.
I've been told to be very careful about this because
I know it's the toughest question to in the end.
Because we're dealing with these big companies, and we've been efficient during the pandemic, but some of them have not been. Not so much the scientists. The scientists continue to work really hard and continue to work hard, but then the legal departments, they drop a contract. I don't know what, they're just so slow. So I can say, I know a project is moving forward with no agreement and is advancing very nicely, and I'm very excited about it, but I can't tell you because I don't have the document signed. And then I told you, well, I'll have that in 3 months, and then I don't deliver, so I'm very nervous. I anticipate some big events. Mm-hmm. I anticipate big events. Things are advancing, and at some point here, we're gonna be able to tell the shareholders, and they're gonna be excited too.
Okay, but the only what you really know is the timeline from Roden and Fields, but you cannot tell it. But you know the timeline.
Yeah.
And this
I know the timelines. I know the timelines from Bang. I know the timelines from Roden and Fields. I know the timelines from the animal health products. There's a lot of things. But I'm not able to. Some of these things I'm not able to disclose because of contractual agreements. Mm-hmm. If I disclose them, then we would lose a partner, and that would not be good. Mm-hmm. Or you'd be faced legal action. But you have to respect. You remember, we're providing compounds to these companies who are spending enormous efforts to prepare and launch them commercially. And there's a strategy they have. They have competitors. They don't want to know what exactly they're doing, and they want their launches to be dramatic announcements. They don't want us to be undercutting them with surprise announcements.
That's for sure. Now, my last question is: do I miss anything on it that you? For sure, you get also a lot of questions from the shareholders. If I miss any question, what they normally ask?
Well, I think people are concerned about there's been a lack of news, and I agree that it's frustrating. But unfortunately, a lack of news does not mean a lack of actual activity in the company and positive activity. Sometimes we're quiet just because there's nothing we officially can say. We're also, and having said that, we're looking at how we can improve our communications, how we can improve our social media presence, how we can get to the shareholder in a more efficient way, and we are actually making changes. We've updated our website. We are looking at improving our social media presence, and we're looking at other ways we can better communicate, possibly more regular, scheduled shareholder updates at fixed intervals in time. Other ways we can give our shareholders more confidence that we are actually building a great company.
Mm-hmm. Howard, thank you for your update. Hopefully next time we can do it a little bit earlier. 1 year, I was surprised. I expected we do it in January, but not in October. So good luck also with your partners. Good luck with the legal departments, that they are maybe now a little bit quicker. I think everybody is happy when you can see the first product, when hopefully coming up with, I think I expected with Roden and Fields is the first one. And then we can talk about a little bit more. Thank you, Howard, good luck with everything.
Thank you for your time.
Ja, das war ein Update von Sirona und ich glaube, wir haben ziemlich alle Punkte durchgearbeitet, die ich mir vorgenommen habe. Erster Punkt gleich mal zurück. Ich habe sehr oft gelesen, dass, oder auch geschrieben, warum arbeitet er nur Teilzeit. Er hat es gesagt, er arbeitet eigentlich nur 3 Schichten, 6 Stunden, glaube ich, oder 8 Stunden, und er hat genug Zeit, dass er da was anderes macht. Finanzielle Situation war von mir sowieso schon klar. 2,8 Millionen am Konto, da kommen es lang aus. 600.000 ist ungefähr die Burn Rate, und es kommen Milestone-Zahlungen rein. Das sind vor allem diese Non-Dilutive Fundings, und das kommt einerseits von Wann, dann kommen hoffentlich neue Lizenzdeals und natürlich auch dann hoffentlich Roden and Fields. Das bringt uns gleich zu dem Punkt 1067. Er kann keine Zeitpunkte nennen, er weiß die Timeline wie Roden and Fields, wann das Produkt auf den Markt kommen soll, aber er kann es nicht sagen, weil das ist confidential und das geht nicht. Aber es gibt kein Delay on it, und wichtig war auch, dass sie die Massenproduktion hochfahren können. Deswegen Ganz wichtig, letzte News, Roxy, dass er dort einen Deal gemacht hat, denn er braucht 2 Produktionen. Das ist Standard in der Branche, dass sie 2 Produktionsstätten haben, damit sie den Kunden auch immer mit Produkt beliefern können, und Roxy ist sehr bekannt. Dann haben sie mit Tinyi Trading im Oktober einen Deal gemacht, ein LOI unterschrieben. Da ist noch nichts weitergegangen, weil die auch Produkte brauchen, damit sie halt weiter vorangehen. Da kommen News. Dann haben wir mit BioChem, Huaxi oder wie das heißt, immer Pharma, auch da arbeiten sehr stark dran. Finale Agreement kommt noch, also auch da kommt News. Wo es sehr gut den Progress gemacht haben, ist Anti-Aging, Anti-Wrinkle, also bei der Anti-Faltencreme. Auch da soll Major News kommen. Was ganz wichtig ist, und ich glaube, das hat er auch jetzt in seiner Zusammenfassung gemacht, also er weiß die Timelines, also was sie haben von Roden Fields, von Wann, aber auch bei den Animal Health Product. Und da geht es um ein Diabetes-Produkt, vor allem auch für die Tiere. Und das schaut extrem gut aus, und da sollten große News kommen, und er regt sich leider selber auf über die Anwälte, dass die ganzen Rechtsabteilungen extrem langsam sind. Die Forscher, also die Science-Leute sind schnell, aber die Rechtsleute, die Lawyer sind sehr langsam. Covid hat selber so keinen Einfluss für ihn gehabt, weil sie schon sehr virtuell waren. Ja, an sich rundes Interview. Schauen wir mal, was die Sache so Neues bringt. Jedenfalls dürfte jetzt der Newsflow ein bisschen stärker werden, die nächsten Monate oder Quartale. Aber wie gesagt, es liegt sehr wenig in seiner Hand. Da liegt es halt sehr viel auch von den Partnern. Das ist halt leider, wenn man der Junior ist. Ja, das war's von Sirona im September 2020. Tschüss und Baba. Thank you and good luck and stay healthy. And your team too, and your family, for sure.
Thank you.